This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Welcome to Dream Power Radio on the Amazing Men and Women of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network powered by Raven International. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, the Dream Coach. This is a show where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams, and how you can use them to make the internal shift to a life you love. And as a reminder, I'm here to help you understand your dreams. So if you've got a dream that's got you stumped, email me at debbie@dreampowerradio.com. I'll answer your questions about dreams, help you understand your dreams, and who knows, you may even be a person who comes on to a future program of mine. So email me at debbie@dreampowerradio.com. Well, living your dream life is all about realizing the possibilities that abound all around you, and that you have the ability to make the choices that will bring you what you want out of life. But sometimes our lives get so cluttered with negativity and bad thinking that we just can't see those possibilities. My guest today, Francis Rico Hayhurst, can help you cut through those self-limiting beliefs that may be keeping you from seeing what's right before your eyes. Rico is a musician, shaman, and author, and combines ancient and modern wisdom with an irrepressible advocacy for having fun and enjoying life, assisting his clients, students, and fellow adventurers in awakening to the gift of their lives. He's also author of the book, A Shaman's Guide to Inner Beauty, where he presents practices that can bring real magic into your life. Welcome to Dream Power Radio, Rico.
Oh, thank you for having me, Debbie. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure for having you here also. You know, I first met you when I became involved in the production of the documentary Dreaming Heaven. I can't believe that was almost 10 years ago. And it was an eye-opener for me. The concept of Dreaming Heaven. Can you elaborate on what that is and what it means?
Well, the Toltec wisdom traditions that this film that we both participated in was about, the Dreaming Heaven film, is about a place called Teotihuacan, Mexico. Teo means the home of the divine presence, the place where humans discover their divine presence. It's a very incredibly powerful ancient site of pyramids that are the Great Pyramid of the Sun, the Pyramid of the Moon, the Pyramid of Quetzalcoatl. These are beautiful pyramids, and they were actually markers originally for caves, four-leaf clover caves in 3 locations that the pyramids started off their life many thousands of years ago as small markers that got bigger and bigger over time. They were built and built and built. The caves emanate an energy that's now being called by astrophysicists, Saul Perlmutter and his team, who just won a prize in astrophysics for the discovery or the bringing forward of what they call dark energy and dark matter. Now, that's a Judeo-Christian, problem to call something dark because everyone gets frightened of that. They just meant that you don't see it. In the old shaman terms, we called it black light. And these fields of black light are the field of expansive potential, the field of energy that is expanding and moving. So there's actually a presence there that people go to and have gone to for healing. The heaven part of it refers to, if we were to go back to like all the questions about where is heaven, I mean, the disciples were asking Jesus, where's heaven? What's the deal with this? We want to know. And his response to them was, a kingdom of heaven surrounds people, but they don't see it. He was speaking Aramaic, so he said the kingdom of heaven surrounds men and they don't see it. But he meant everyone. He meant that the kingdom of heaven is here, but we don't see it until we do. So what is the difference between the world that we see and the world that we recognize as the potential for heaven? And how do we get there? That's what the film was about a group of people that go to a mysterious place where an unusual energy from an ineffable field that is not part of history, it's a part of the eternal. And it's an influx of energy out of what we now call multidimensionality. Saul and his team got a Nobel Prize in Physics for this discovery. And what they posited was that our universe, our vision of infinity that we see at night looking at the stars in the sky are as deep into molecular realities as we go. The far-flung galaxies, everything that we know, everything that we see, everything that we are is a tiny 4% slice of what is now being called totality. So our language begins to fail to express the possibilities that are all around us, the enormous amounts of energy and potential and possibility that we can use to shape a life that benefits us and others. Of course, on our planet right now, we are seeing the extreme expression of the scarcity model. There's not enough to go around. And those that have grabbed the majority of what they can are hoarding it like crazy people. I mean, the multi-zillionaires on our planet are insane. They've gone insane. And they're people, they're front people, they're politicians, people like Trump and others. They're crazy too. And so we're seeing the end of a scarcity model. And what this film revealed was that this place of heaven, of dreaming heaven, was there's a way to access this place of abundance, of resourcefulness, of creativity, of co-creation with creation herself, of linking with others in cooperative and collaborative ways, and linking with all of life on the planet in collaborative and cooperative ways too. That all this is possible. So if we were to posit that as heaven, how do you get there? Well, very interesting. We dream, as you mentioned in your intro, we dream at night when we're asleep, but we're also dreaming right now while we're awake.
Yeah, so you do advocate the whole idea that we are dreaming all the time. And it's kind of a strange concept for a lot of people to really grasp that, in our conscious, awake life, we are actually dreaming.
Yes, this is a foundational thing to shamanism. First of all, I'll just mention as a shaman, shaman is not a title. It's not like doctor, lawyer, he's a plumber, or he's a shaman, or she's a shaman. Shaman's a verb. Shaman means vibrating. Specifically, it means vibrating higher, wider, and deeper than what we call the trance of normal reality. So living inside of what we call normal reality is actually a field of assumptions and a field of beliefs that we've internalized. And the old wisdom tradition that I'll bring forward right now for us is our attention follows our belief. In other words, we look at life through a flashlight beam of our attention, of our consciousness, and consider consciousness like the peak of evolution, whereas in fact it only operates at 40 bits a second. It's not all that big whoop of a deal, consciousness, but we think it is. And we attribute our ability to analyze the world and to say this is this and that's that, and identify things using English as a language, which is becoming the primary language on the planet. The old languages were verb-based, and they were metaphorical and deeply multi-layered in the way that meanings would flow with each other. English is a noun, subject, object-based language that basically kills and divides what it considers with a sharp pencil. But anyway, getting back to the focus of this capacity to see outside of what we believe offers us an ability that's very much like, instead of looking at life through a flashlight and finding evidence that what we believe is true everywhere we look, because there it is, there's the evidence that what we believe is true. In other words, what would that be called? A self-fulfilling prophecy that we're going to see what we believe is going to be there, and the evidence that we see it proves that it's there. That little limiting circuit's like looking at everything through a flashlight. And what we're seeing now on our planet is the rising sun of awareness. So the situation that we, all of us, you, me, and all of your listeners, and everybody who's interested in all of this, including all the dreamers, the situation that we're in is we're standing with our flashlights and the sun's up. So now the flashlight is not something to be disrespected, our capacity to attend and pay attention is a very useful thing. But in the light of awareness, in the light of the rising sun, that little beam is not. So this realm of dreaming is actually the transition from being limited by what we believe we're going to see in the self-fulfilling circuitry to a place where other possibilities that are fluid, that are informational, that are maybe inspirational. Sometimes they rattle our cage, and dreams can be, as you know, as a dream specialist, dreams can be all kinds of things, but we can also see that in the daytime, the realities that we each create and that we live in kind of amount to the little bubbles of a dream as well. And the dream has an inside surface of our beliefs, but it also has our possibility to move out into a realm of where we are more expansive, we are more creative, we're more resourceful. So lucid dreaming, which has always been a goal of shamanic practices, can be a difficult art, but lucid living is a lot closer because we can recognize even right now in this moment that we're alive. I have practices that I use to help people neurologically make that transition and go back and forth across that barrier. From a neurological point of view, it's kind of like learning to play guitar. You learn to do this thing, and then as you do it and you learn 3 chords, suddenly you can play all of country and Western music. You can play the blues. You can play the Beatles. You can play just about everything and anything with 3 chords, and it takes less than a month to learn that. So there are practices that can make your dreaming more agile. But also when you do work in this realm, you're no longer dividing nighttime from daytime dreaming. And what you begin to see is when evidences of synchronicities begin to emerge in your environment, that is your dream. You are beginning to lucid live the dream of your life rather than relegating dreaming to a nighttime process. Now, nighttime dreams can be very informational. I think the reason why is that the dream of our beliefs and our tightly held necessity to keep things the way that they are because we're frightened, it's a fearful world and we've got to define and keep everything under control and everybody's got to obey the rules and all that. That goes away when we lay down at night, doesn't it? And the frame that we hold for the daytime loosens its grip. A lot of times it doesn't loosen its grip very much, and we carry into our dreaming possibilities for the night the issues and the problems and the disasters and the news and the headlines and everything. We carry all that from the day into our nighttime dreaming, and that gives us dreams that are an attempt to process and put together this crazy, chaotic, catastrophic thing of what we're calling reality. There's a shamanic practice called recapitulation that if you do it before you go to bed, you clean your day of all of the random investments of your energy that you've made and that have been made by others on you. You clean everything up so that when you go to sleep, you are able to move into a state where I don't want to call it lucid dreaming, but we're informational dreaming, we're inspirational dreaming, we're enjoyable dreaming. I mean, it's possible to have dreams that are just fun. I mean, besides having dreams that are deeply revelatory, there's so many different kinds of dreams, but you find that we have much more access to our own fluidity in the nighttime dream state than during the daytime, unless you begin to work on increasing your fluidity during the daytime, in which case you begin to realize, I was dreaming all along. So dreaming heaven would be to find evidence in your reality that instead of the scarcity model and the competitive model, that there is an abundance of everything, enough for everyone, that there is not only the grief of existence that we know so well, but also joy, and that the two things inform each other. And we notice that we are able to benefit ourselves and others, that it is possible to care for ourselves and others at the same time, that care for oneself doesn't mean that everyone else suffers. That's the state of heaven when we step into it.
Mm-hmm. Very good. You say that you tell people that you call your work shamanic refrigerator art. What do you mean by that?
Okay, well, in the dream, so let's just, if we say, okay, you're dreaming. You're dreaming, and how could you leave a little bit of evidence that you are dreaming? And so I have a piece of art that is a pair of hands. Anybody can contact me at shamanzone.com, and I'll send you a copy of this. Go to my website, www.shamanzone.com, and I'll send you this. So there's a piece of art that shows a pair of hands with water flowing. And out of the flow of watering is a verb-based statement that is not an affirmation. It's not like I'll have a nice day. It is a dream. It is the seeds of dreams that begin to flow. And when you leave it on your refrigerator, which is where we go for nurturance all the time, we always look in there. What's in there? Okay, nothing, or we go to get the half and half for our coffee or whatever. So this piece of art says that we are capable of opening our eyes, our minds, and our hearts, that we are capable, we're dreaming that we can become spirited, natural, and feral, and resourceful, that when we speak, we'll speak with truth, we'll speak beauty and wisdom, and we'll include wild poetry. Why not? That healing ourself, our family, and our friends and our world is one of our reasons for being here. Enjoying life and love and peace and abundance is fundamental. Fun is fundamental to life, and that we are here to be giving, to give our essential gifts to the world. Now, when this piece of art sits on the refrigerator, very quickly we just stop seeing it consciously, but we continue to see it, and it begins to inform the potential for dreams that in every moment we find that something begins to happen, and instead of reactive and reacting and getting angry, we realize that we can become more resourceful and find a dozen ways to solve something that would have normally caused us to contract. So it's a way. So shamanic refrigerator art is like, contemporary shamanism is not necessarily all just beating drums and lighting sage. There's many different ways in.
Mm-hmm. So
to the dream state.
Yes, that's. I'm going to take up that suggestion and put that on my refrigerator and see what bubbles up for me. We're going to take a short break here. I'm speaking with Francis Rico Hayhurst on Dream Power Radio. We'll be right back. What could be more dreamy than a cruise to the mysterious and exotic Cuba? Join me in June for a luxurious 8-night trip on Royal Caribbean's Empress of the Seas. We'll taste the cuisine in Havana, dance to the music in the enchanting cities of Cienfuegos and Santiago de Cuba, and much more. For more information and to sign up for this unforgettable trip, email me at debbie@dreampowerradio.com.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Yes, welcome back to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, the Dream Coach, and we're speaking with Francis Rico Hayhurst. Rico, what do you say to people who look at what's going on in our country today and in our world today and are just full of despair? How should they react to all of this?
Well, first of all, when we deal with heartbreak, of course we're in despair. I mean, the children, thousands and thousands of families broken up, and children having a horrifying experience of being in these cages. It really is like multiple dimensions of insanity happening. It is crazy. But let me suggest that despair is disempowering, and that it's not the best strategy. So what would be a better strategy would be to move out of contraction, which we call the trance, move out of fear, and to begin to live with love and without fear, with connection to what I would call source, and without compromise, that each of us, as we begin to live like this, we bring better options, we bring more resourcefulness, we bring our own giftedness, we begin to celebrate rather than to compete and despair and the suffering of despair. We can begin to see from a more strategic point of view that ultimately it's disempowering. So now, does that mean that we don't feel what we actually feel? No, not at all. But when we move past suffering, one of the titles in A Shaman's Guide to Deep Beauty, one of the chapters is Suffering is Optional. And it also, one of the other chapters is enlightenment is easy, which is not really true, but it actually is true. Enlightenment is just the first step. It's like waking up. So what are we waking up to? In a dream, within a dream, within a dream? Something that you said, Debbie, when you said things that percolate up or bubble up, these are these realities, these multiple realities of multidimensionality that we can access and bring resources here. It's always been the shaman's job to go over there to an alternate reality and bring something back for the benefit of a tribal member or so there's bubbles within bubbles within bubbles, and they're iridescent and they're shimmering and they're beautiful. Now, our dimension that we're in a constant state we are living in a catastrophe. If you don't know somebody if your family hasn't experienced a catastrophe, and we have the catastrophe of ill health and of damage and accidents and on and on and on. And I mean, our government's a catastrophe and it's causing such hardship. So catastrophe is one of the conditions of human life, but instead of suffering it, when we can feel what we feel. So I'm not recommending that you don't feel your despair. Feel your despair, but recognize that you have the precious opportunity to do something about it, that you can appreciate the moment you're in. If you're not being killed in this moment, you still have that opportunity. It reminds me of the Zen story or the Zen image of one of those Zen masters who was walking along a path on a mountain, slips off the side, 1,000-foot drop, grabs onto this little branch of a little tree, and the branch is pulling out, the roots are pulling out a little bit. There's a berry, eats the berry. Ah, delicious. Our circumstances are really unusual. And until you make the discovery for yourself that you are a light-based being, that's eternal, precious, that you're here as a gift, and that you will go on beyond what we consider, mortal existence. In this dimension, there's catastrophe, and we grieve it, and the grieving allows us to appreciate what we do have and be grateful for it. Now, that grief and the joy of existence becomes the way that we move in the world. Having fun, it doesn't mean being superficial. It doesn't mean being ridiculous. It means finding what there is to celebrate life and celebrating it. So what you can do, instead of going to despair, is to begin celebrating your own life and what you do have. And from that celebration, you are in a better position to do something profoundly helpful, to be useful. This is another realm of dreams that we could talk about, is the realm of great ideas that come to us, of things that change life, that change, different ways of kids are doing this right now. They're figuring out ways to clean the oceans of plastics. They're figuring out ways to create nanorobots that take on cancer. I mean, there's a local kid here, because we've had droughts in California, that asked his dad, we can't have storage tanks in our backyard for water, but we all have fences. What if we stored water in our fences? His dad's an engineer and designed like a system of, 6-inch wide system of fencing that you could store hundreds of thousands of gallons of water, and whole neighborhoods could save water. And, kids are coming up with all these things. These are essentially dreams. This is a realm where your dreams are gifts to you, but you can't be receptive to those gifts if you're in despair and despondent and disempowered. You have to recognize that shuts you down and actually choose to open to the present moment.
It's all about
that choice of coming.
Yeah, it's all about accepting whatever feeling you have, acknowledging it, and then moving on, taking action, and not just wallowing in this negativity.
Yes. What happens? They've done studies. This is very interesting. This is like where quantum physics begins, and the ideas of quantum entanglement. In other words, everything is connected with everything. They're actually doing studies now where they take your DNA and put it in another room, and they've actually moved that room 50 miles away, and it still is true. And then they have you. They send you shocking negative imagery, and they shock the heck out of you with images of children crying and terrible things happening. And they measure the DNA on an electron microscope, and it shrinks and it contracts, and the spiral bounds tighten up. It actually becomes chronically contracted. Then they also take the same person, the same DNA, and show images of beauty, images of beaches and of penguins and dolphins swimming with surfers, and things like that. And the DNA actually relaxes and becomes more flexible. So this thing about negativity isn't about negative and positive, because being positive can be just as, it's about moving from the world of reaction and reactivity into the world of responsiveness. So our dualistic words like dark and light, another way of looking at that could be light and heavy. Everything that we look at from the reactive field is part of that flashlight beam. When you stand in awareness, you see that it's not about negative and positive. It's about contractive and expansive. It's about disempowered and agile. It's about domesticated and controlled versus feral and alive and opening, becoming, speaking, healing, enjoying, giving, dreaming heaven.
Absolutely. Everything that you've been talking about all has been ancient wisdom that was known like thousands and thousands of years ago. And then we lost it. What happened? What happened to us as humans?
There's a lot of speculation and a lot of beliefs. What I can say is that a system that is essentially aberrant took over the human species, human experience. And what is that system? I call it hierarchy. And it's a system where it's a top-down system as opposed to the respect of equality that we feel for the giftedness of each individual, the contribution that everyone is here to make. Every single one of us is a gift. Every single one of us is essential. There is no hierarchy. There is no pyramid with an enlightened guru at the top. These models of spirituality are obsolete. But what I think happened, and it's about 6,000 or 7,000 years ago, maybe a little bit more, for at least for Western civilization, a very effective, efficient model of top-down, hierarchical, of do your job and someone else makes a decision and you follow the rules. And this hierarchical system, of course, we call it the dominator, the predatory dominator, male patriarchal system, has exploited the world. It's also, if you look at what's emerging now, the gift of feminine wisdom that is coming present in our world is collaborative, is counsel, it is connected. It's echoic. It's like Mother Earth is speaking through our women and leading the way. What's happening right now in Congress with women speaking and Alexandria Ocasio being an example, but women everywhere on our planet are speaking up and speaking from this ancient place of wisdom that's always current and it's always contemporary. But what happened was an exploitive model that has really been abusive, but it's been effective and it's rewarded a few and given the others a place of safety inside of a fear-based system. The whole system's obsolete. What we're seeing now is the great ugly underbelly of an obsolete system as it collapses, because everyone can look at what's going on and recognize that what's wrong is wrong. That the way that we've been operating, the way that our corporations would love to abuse our environment. I mean, that's not right. We know that. We spend enough in 5 days to feed and clothe and provide medical care for everyone in the world with our weapons budget. So everyone has said this for a long time. Buckminster Fuller said it. He was a genius. Now each one of us is saying it. You're saying it. I'm saying it. Everyone listening to us knows it and is saying it to their friends. There is an awakening happening that is like the sun coming up. So in this place, it can be a little disconcerting. Recognize that everything that your opinions are like a flashlight, and that you can give it a rest, and you can come to the present moment and see what you can do to contribute. And your gift, the dream of creation itself, is that we, as a species, heal the damage that we've done on this planet to life, and that we heal ourselves and each other.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's a dream.
Yes, it is. We're coming to the end of our time, but I wanted to touch on that you have a program where you are actually helping people show how to apply your teachings to everyday life. If you just talk briefly about that and how people can find out about it, and also how people can find out about your tours to Teotihuacan.
Yeah, so Teotihuacan, springtime, April 3rd through 9th of this year. Contact me at shamanzone.com. And also I take people to Peru through the Sacred Valley, and I'm going in October of this year with Jorge Luis Delgado, who is an inspired being. The program that I have that is starting right now, goes through June, is called, it's a 6th or 7th month program, depending on how things operate. It's called Applying Shamanism, and it condenses years of what would be training and apprenticeship in an old model into a short course that's very, very intense. That's a foundation for expanding this agility and this kind of competency outside of the confines of the contraction. It's a evocation. It's a calling present of the gift that you are. Dreaming is a significant part of it, and recognizing that we're dreaming asleep, we're dreaming awake. Now, how do we in this holographically connected dream state, how do we start creating benefit for life, for ourselves? How do we actually do this? Well, each person is a gift. And my work has been to support people in their direct connection with Source and their own giftedness. So I don't have a mythology. People don't have to jump through hoops or believe anything with me. It's not a case of substituting my belief system for someone else's belief system. It really is a case of calling the gift present of each individual.
Well, you know what? We're out of time. I wish we could go on longer.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with me. We've been speaking.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh, yes. And for me too. We've been speaking with the amazing Francis Rico Hayhurst. I'm Debbie Spector-Weissman. I hope you have enjoyed this program. Until next time, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International.